words that serve as the identifier of one of the most successful companies in human history. Chitiya Automotives. First created in 1946 as the Japanese government's reintroduction into the industrial world, the state-sanctioned company took full advantage of the technology the United States of America used against them during the war. As the fusion and fission technology spread throughout the United Nations, bringing untold efficiency to the world and humanity at large, the Japanese government steadily worked at adapting to the new world. Instead of soft-topped, circle-head-like, and gasoline-fueled cars, Chitiya, or at the time, City, Automotives produced tough roofs, geometric headlights, and electricity-powered vehicles. This was done by creating the first fusion core battery. Although energy storage levels were much lower then than now, the FKB allowed cars to travel at civilian speeds for up to 500 kilometers using one battery, an amount unparalleled at the time. Needless to say, this skyrocketed City to the #1 spot of car producers and lifted Japan out of its rut economically. This dominance was incredibly short-lived, however. Soon after the very limited nuclear exchange in Moscow, the UN, fearing a full-scale war with more devastating effects, disallowed any entity from owning or exclusively using nuclear technology. Although it was idealized as a state-level policy, fears of nationalized companies ignoring the law pushed it down to the level where City was hit. As the age of the empire proper began, City was forced into producing conventional vehicles of the time. With the launch of the pre-May line, City widened its horizons to produce petrol vehicles of various types. Trucks, service vehicles, industrial vehicles, and even racing vehicles were added to the production lines. This variety alone allowed City to maintain similar profits to what they made before the empire's cementation, and, therefore, stay ahead of its competition. Even as the playing fields leveled due to Japanese regulations, City's broad product range and stylish civilian vehicles kept them doing relatively well. So much so that they were willing to officially change their name to the Nuanji pronunciation of their company title without fearing a drop in profit. In 1987, 12 years after Ochtan began providing oil and petrol for the European Lagosto Grand Prix races, Ochtan's founder, Edwin Bassler, personally bought exclusive advertising rights for several of Chitiya's models. 3 years later, Simon Fraisse, otherwise known as the legendary Ochtan Racer, began his 5-year spree of first-place wins using Chitiya's cars. This close partnership with Ochtan allowed Chitiya to piggyback off of its successful marketing campaign, the gas of the greatest racers. Ochtan's popularity gave enhanced legitimacy to the power of Chitiya's vehicles. Despite this, the innovation was largely halted for 2 decades in Chitiya, both in design and power. That was until Ochtan suggested partnering on another venture, biofuel. In the next few years, electric vehicles were tentatively reintroduced and biofuel vehicles were closely developed alongside Ochtan's oil replacement. Finally, in 2022, Ochtan's biofuels and Chitiya's range of vehicles launched worldwide. With the dying oil industry, these new forms of fuel and vehicle transformed the world as nuclear technology did 80 years prior. Chitiya enjoyed a spot at the top for 6 decades before attempting another major project. Instead, they developed revamps of their original, pre-May, and then current vehicles with updated tech, creating the Legacy line. While they had become known as a reliable force, embodying the rising sentiment of practicality over theatricality, Chitiya was developing something off-limits to most people even today: aeromobiles. By the turn of the next century, the first line of flying cars was released, inspired by the science fiction of years past. The rich enjoyed the luxury of large, loud, floating cars, but the public, despite Chitiya's efforts to make the line affordable, had little interest. As such, Chitiya's line of flying cars was discontinued almost as quick as it was released. Undeterred, Chitiya still ruminated on designs to incorporate micro-scale commercial flying technology. Luckily, this rumination was cut short by the magnetic revolution, soon after which Chitiya began producing mag-field levitators. Chitiya's mag-field levitators were the first product the corporation didn't develop as a vehicle-based technology. Instead, they were first used as industrial clamps for space manufacture, allowing tools to be used in the vacuum of space instead of in protected shelters, aboard orbital facilities and space forges. That being said, planet-side applications of the technology are limited, due to the need to have uninterrupted magnetic field connection between the emitter and the object. Regardless, many competitors try to repurpose this technology for uses it's not well suited for. With these 2 most recent developments, it appears Chitiya has gone back into its developmental hiatus for its next big project. Despite continuous upgrades to all current tech, Chitiya's paradoxical state of periodic, Revolutionary innovation, yet nostalgic stagnation of visual design, has allowed it to be a unique mainstay of Imperial life for close to its entire tenure. This ubiquitous automotive company has been producing long-standing, time-tested vehicles and mag tech. Hopefully, their next innovation spike will propel humanity to greatness once more.